Welcome back to our class, and I'm your teacher Chana, your teacher for today. Always remember the Lord said, "If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God. Give it to all men liberally, and upbraid it not, and it shall be given him." James chapter 1 verse 5. Let's start! Good day everyone, welcome back to our class. In our lesson for today is all about the lesson number 5, the respiratory system, the path of air inside the body. So today we will discuss how the air flows inside our body through the respiratory system. Okay, when astronauts travel in space, they take with them an important gas in order to survive. Swimmers regularly open their mouth when on the surface of water to gasp for a continuous supply of oxygen. Runners also usually have their mouth open as they run distances to get enough supply of oxygen. So when God gave you breath of life, He knew you would need oxygen in order to survive. This is why He provided an abundant supply of oxygen by creating various plants to provide most of the oxygen on the land and in the sea. In fact, the Bible says God created plants before He created animals. Plants on the 3rd day and animals on the 5th and the 6th day. So what are the parts and functions of the respiratory system? We have the lungs. Lungs is the main respiratory organ. Remember, lungs is the main respiratory organs. Before air reaches our lungs, it passes through our nose, pharynx, the larynx, the trachea, the bronchus, the bronchi, the bronchioles, and the alveoli. So these are the parts of the respiratory system. Before the air reaches the lungs, it passes through the nose to the alveoli. Okay, first we have the nose. The nose is the regular entry of the air when we breathe. In case of colds, the mouth serves as an emergency entry. So, we have the parts of the nose. First, we have the nostrils or the nasal cavities, the opening of the nose. Next, we have septum, the bony part that separates the nostrils. Next, we have the cilia. The cilia is the coarse hairs that filters the air and trap microbes that enters the nose. And last, the mucous membrane, the soft tissue lining the walls of the nasal cavity. So these are the parts of the nose. Remember, nose is the regular entry of the air when we breathe. Next, we have the pharynx. Pharynx serves as the passageway for both air and food. This passageway separates into two tubes, the esophagus that leads to the food to the stomach and the trachea that leads to the lungs. So when the air flows inside our body, and it reaches the pharynx. It also reaches the epiglottis and the lymph glands, tonsil, adenoids. Epiglottis is the flap of cartilage at the upper end of the pharynx that opens and closes the trachea, while the lymph glands, tonsils, and adenoids, these are the glands found at the sides of the root of the pharynx. They collect and kill the bacteria trapped by the mucus. Next part, we have the larynx. When the air reaches the larynx, these are at the lower end of the pharynx. It is commonly called the Adam's apple. This is the enlarged portion of the trachea. The vocal cords vibrate as air passes through them. Next, we have the trachea. Just below your larynx is tough muscular tube supported by rings of the cartilage to keep it from collapsing. It is about 13 cm long and has cilia on the inner wall that filters the air before it enters the lungs. And the trachea branches out into two tubes. They are called bronchi. Bronchi are the two smaller tubes that lead from trachea to the lungs. The left bronchus leads to the left lung, while the right bronchus leads to the right lung. Bronchi are embedded in our lungs. Look at the picture on your screen. This is the parts of our respiratory system. As the air flows from the nose to trachea, it reaches our lungs. Lungs, they are two large spongy organs that occupy nearly the entire cavity of the chest. Your right lung is slightly bigger and is divided into 3 lobes, while left lungs has 2 main divisions. So, each bronchus divides into 2 smaller tubes called bronchial tubes or the bronchioles. They again branch out into smaller tubes called the alveolar or the air sacs. This is where the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide takes place. So when we inhale oxygen, our body exhales the carbon dioxide, and it happens with the alveolar or the air sacs. Each lung contains hundreds of millions of alveoli, around 600 million in the average adult. Okay, alveoli are microscopic balloon-like air sacs surrounded by tiny blood vessels called the capillaries. Since the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide takes place in the capillaries of each alveolus, you may say that these perform the main job of the lungs. Alveoli are the final line of defense of the respiratory system. Cells called macrophage wander in and out of the alveoli, picking up bacteria, carbon dioxide particles, and other debris. If these sacs are damaged, your body is not able to get enough oxygen. Thus, your heart is forced to pump harder to supply oxygen to your body cells. This tires the heart and can cause heart disease later. Air pollution and cigarette smoking can damage these sacs. The lungs are protected by the rib cage. So what happens to the oxygen that enters our body? When you breathe, the air enters through your nostrils and flows into the lungs. Then, the direction of the air reverses. Waste materials flow back through the same pathway when you exhale. Oxygen, as a gas found in the air, is necessary for cell activity that is crucial for turning the food into energy. And that is what we called respiration. So respiration happens this way. First, when you inhale, you receive oxygen in the air from surroundings. This oxygen passes through the nose, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, and the alveoli. From the alveolar sacs that take up most of the space in lungs, the oxygen combines with the hemoglobin in the red blood cells. The oxygen is then carried throughout the body by the red blood cells. Next, the oxygen is used in the cell activity in which glucose, a simple sugar with chemical formula C6H12O6, is burned. After burning, water and carbon dioxide is produced. And cell activity also produces ATP, or the adenosine triphosphate, a molecule that provides every cell with energy. So this is respiration happens in our body. As a result of this process, carbon dioxide, water, and energy are produced. Water and carbon dioxide are given off as waste through exhaling. This process is called respiration, breathing, or pulmonary ventilation. What are the inhale and exhale gases made of? So, we have the composition of nitrogen, the other gases, and the oxygen with the carbon dioxide. When we inhale 20%, we have the 79% of nitrogen, and the other gas is 1 and oxygen is 21. And for the carbon dioxide is trace. When we exhale, the same with the nitrogen and other gases but different in carbon dioxide and the oxygen. So how does breathing occur? Breathing involves two movements. When you inhale, your diaphragm contracts and lower down. The rib muscles pull the ribs out and up. These movements enlarge the chest cavity, and the air pressure inside your chest becomes less than the air pressure outside then pushes air into the respiratory system. And when you exhale, the rib muscles and the diaphragm relax. While relaxing, the diaphragm rises and the ribs fall down and pull in. The chest cavity gets smaller. The air pressure inside the chest increases and pushes the gas waste out from the lungs. These breathing movements are the same for the normal male or female infant, man, or adults. So, how does the breathing rate differ? So, what is the different rate of breathing? Newborn infant, 40 to 80 times per minute. That is the breathing rate for the newborn infant. Next, for the older infant, the rate is 30 times per minute. For 5 years old, 25 times per minute. And for adults, we have the 12 to 18 times per minute. As you can see, the breathing rate decreases as we get older. So why should you breathe from the nose or through the nose and not through your mouth? There are times when you find it difficult to breathe through your nose. It is then that you see your mouth to take in the amount of air your body needs. The air you breathe through your mouth is cold, dry, and likely to be full of dust and dirt. It can damage the soft linings of the throat, breathing tubes, and the lungs. Your breathing system is very delicate. It is easily infected. The reason you are always reminded to breathe through your nose and not through your mouth is to avoid inflaming the throat. So thank you very much for listening. God bless everyone. Keep safe. I hope you learned something for our lesson for today. Bye! Thank you for listening. God bless. Bye!